Hey, what is up, guys? How are you doing today? How are you doing,
Good evening.
Austin?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing, Josiah?
Doing pretty good. Busy time in life.
Nice.
Yeah, fairly tired today, but look, this movie and this review shall wake me up a little bit.
All right. Well, as we've just said, I'm Austin.
And I am
Mortuary.
Josiah. Oh,
And we are the Ooh, super. Cinema. Bro.
all right. That
Oh,
is us. That is
oh,
us, guys.
oh,
Oh, oh.
oh. How's it going, everybody?
Welcome
Um,
in. Welcome in. Thank you for those that are catching it live. Thank you for those that are catching it late. Y'all just know what you just want to hear what we talk about. So thank you for checking it out. But today, as it said on the docket, we got Frankenstein by
Frank
Guillermo del Toro,
Frank Rizzle,
an
Frank
IMAX
Stizzle.
experience. Brought to you also by, you know him, you love him, Netflix.
Do you love him? Maybe.
Look, I love a number of their number of their shows. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you
I'm
know
being
what?
facetious.
Look, yeah. We love you, Netflix. Bring me back to your campus one day, and that will never influence this review, though. By the way, I've seen some things on their campus. I've seen Del Toro in person, but I will be unbiased as ever in this review.
No kidding. No kidding. You seen him in person.
That man looked
So he's a
into
real
my
person.
eyes,
This
and he
man's
was
doing
like,
all the
"We
old
need you."
stories.
Yeah, he really is. Actually, it's funny. When I saw him in person at the Netflix campus, he was presenting his Pinocchio from a couple of years back. So yeah, he is doing all the old stories, which I feel like includes his Shape of Water as well. It's almost a creature from the Black Lagoon. Um,
Okay.
you
I didn't
know,
see it. It looked interesting. I just didn't see it.
yeah. Uh, I thought it was an entertaining movie when I watched it at the time. I've since heard some friends feel as if they might send a bit of a bizarre message as far as the human to non-human relationship situation. Which hey, it looks like we're almost back at it with this one. Maybe.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
We'll explore that possibility and line of thinking in just a little bit. But
All
yeah,
right.
so we actually went out to the cinemas to check this movie out. I know it's coming to
Indeed.
you guys. Well, it's in theaters around you potentially, but coming to everybody Netflix this Friday, November 7th. Um, not an ad, just a piece of information. There's a that we saw this film in theaters. Look, I like Del Toro stuff most of the time. Frankenstein, I was like, you know what? Look, I gotta see this on the big screen. I'm sure it's gonna look good on our big screens at home. But yeah, when you got
Yeah,
an opportunity to see IMAX for something like this, you gotta take it.
yeah. I missed. I meant to catch this as I was watching the end credits because they always tell you what cameras they're using. Is it Kodak? Is it Ari? Is it Red?
Oh, that's right.
Um,
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was filmed on. I can look it up, but they were
yeah.
definitely using high definition cameras,
Hmm.
ultra high definition, shot at least in 4K, maybe higher than that. But yeah. You
I'd
could
have to
definitely
look it up. Yeah, I
tell.
didn't find it specifically this time, but yeah, it did look good on the big screen. Real fast, looks like Knowing Hornet 7788 says he liked this movie. Uh, right, great to hear that you wound up liking this film. We
Yeah,
will,
I'm glad you liked it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let us
Uh,
know as this goes on, or now some some of the things you liked about it, and we'll try and cover those aspects of the film. So I guess that brings us to our non spoiler
I
small
got.
segment here at the beginning. Oh, you want to say something first? Go ahead, man.
Oh, I have a synopsis prepared.
Let's do the synopsis. Yes.
All right. So here is the non-spoiler synopsis. Here we go. Right now we are in spoiler-free territory. So Frankenstein follows the ambitious surgeon, Victor Frankenstein, who becomes obsessed with conquering death after personal tragedy. Brilliant but arrogant, Victor is expelled from medical school for his controversial experiments, but finds a patron in arms merchant Henrik Harlander, who provides him with the resources to pursue his radical vision. Using body parts from war casualties and executed criminals, Victor attempts to reanimate a corpse through revolutionary electrical techniques with the reluctant help of his younger brother William. As Victor grows increasingly consumed by his work, tensions arise with those around him, including Elizabeth, William's fiancée, who becomes concerned about the ethical implications of his experiments. The film is framed by Victor's encounter with a Danish polar expedition in the Arctic, where he recounts his story to Captain Anderson and his crew. At its heart, the movie explores themes of creation and responsibility, examining what happens when scientific ambition proceeds without moral consideration. The narrative grapples with questions of humanity, isolation, and the consequences of playing God, as Victor's revolutionary achievement leads to unforeseen complications that will test his character and force him to confront the true cost of his obsession.
That was a thorough synopsis there. All right.
It was.
That was good. Was that brought to us by Claude or
Yeah.
okay? All right. All right.
So
When
yeah,
did Claude see the movie? By the way.
it's always known about the movie. The movie has always existed as far as Claude's concerned.
It's true. If their computers are connected online, AI may have watched all the films before they've released.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what I did
They're
was I
active in the
took
editing bay, huh?
the entire synopsis off the Wikipedia page and I said make a two-paragraph synopsis, spoiler
Okay.
free, based on the synopsis.
Sweet. All right.
I mean, I think that's so much better than mainly me trying to like hodgepodge a synopsis off the top of the dome.
Aw.
What happened was this guy Victor, he's a Frankenstein. Actually, I just start meandering and like try
Okay.
not to spoil it, and it just turns into a garbled mess. So I figured I would spare the audience and
That's
you,
the
Josiah.
fun. That's the fun, Austin. That's the fun. We want to go down
Yeah, but
those tangented paths.
fun for who? That's the question. And
Fun
so,
for
yeah,
Knowing Hornet. He hit us back saying Del Toro has great use of color coding in this movie, which he does fantastically in almost all of his films, his movies.
yeah,
I
I largely
agree.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think okay. So before we get into like the critical analysis of things, uh, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I could speak to as well.
Oh yeah.
There is definitely a Del Toro aesthetic
Hmm.
for sure.
Yeah. Sure.
There, I would almost say like a Del Toro color scheme or color palette. That's the word I was looking at. A Del
Hmm.
Toro color palette
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
seems to be consistent amongst a
Yeah.
big chunk of his movies, all his movies.
Hmm.
Talk about that in just a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
let's do what we normally do. So we've given like a kind of 30,000 foot above ground overview synopsis. I'm gonna try my best to like not get into any spoilers. Let's just make this really brief. Like, what is just
Okay.
your immediate? You walk out of the theater. What were your initial immediate takeaways from the film? Go ahead, Josiah.
So initially walking out of the film, I actually had spent the whole movie holding this poster. They wound up giving us a print. So and I didn't
Oh,
have anywhere to put it, so I was like, well, I successfully held this poster for the whole movie. Nice, and my hands aren't cramped. Outside of that,
mhm.
I was like, I think I came out whelmed. I don't think it blew past my expectations. I don't think it undershot my expectations. I think I was it was like, yeah, he did a good job with this. But then my second thought was, I wonder how much I like the story of Frankenstein anymore. I don't know. I've never gone back to read the like original Mary Shelley version of it. I do have a comic version of it that I got to read sometime. But I came out of it like honestly being a little bit like, okay, that was cool. I was cool. It was what I expected, and then I was like, why am I questioning a few things in this movie? If the like overall buy-in is like fantastical, like why is my brain trying to like hang on, questioning the plausibility of a couple things like in the middle of the movie? But yeah, awesome seeing it on the big screen. Very worthwhile doing that. Yeah, solid film from Del Toro. Yeah. Interesting enough. Yeah. I won't get into more details. Yeah. What? How did you feel walking out of this theater?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid movie. I didn't read Mary Shelley's novel beforehand. In fact, before we went online and got ready for this, I kind of did the Wikipedia thing. It was right there. So like, all right, well, let me just look at it.
Yeah.
And there, I don't know if this would have made much of a difference to me having not read the book to know if it was super faithful, if there were significant departures. There are significant departures from the original book.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of like the development of it. And Del Toro had been talking about making this movie for like
Hmm.
15 years, like going back to like 2009, I guess, or 2007, like almost 20 years. He's been talking about making this movie, different iterations of it based on so and so screenplay. At one point, he wanted to make it like a trilogy of films because of
Mm.
all the intricacies of Shelley's book,
Oh wow.
all of that. But again, I just literally like 10 minutes ago read into all this. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
And having seen the
Yeah.
movie, like, okay, did it need to be a trilogy of movies?
Hmm. I guess it really
I
depends
don't.
on how much story Shelley has in her book, compared to what
Yeah,
was put on the
and
screen.
you see how faithful and close to the book. Because I mean, just reading right off the top, like the book is, or I should say, the film is significantly different. Uh, Key details
Hmm.
of the movie are significantly different
Oh really?
than
Okay.
than the book. And so Del Toro was making his own version of this, which is fine. I mean, Coppola did the same thing with Bram Stoker's Dracula. There were
Hmm.
significant departures
I
from the
believe it.
original
Yeah.
novel. That's
Exactly. Hmm.
clear. So it's fine. Would the original film, as written by Shelley, make for a good movie? It, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Hmm.
Uh, I think there's a really interesting conversation about like faithfulness to the book versus what would make a good movie and the Venn diagram of that and where it
Hmm.
intersects.
Yeah.
So, uh, just I'll go on a very quick departure, and
Okay.
then I'll get back to what I'm saying. I watched Jurassic Park as a 10-year-old, right?
Hmm.
And and the only thing I like more than the movie itself was watching the James Earl Jones narrated and hosted making of Jurassic
Yeah.
Park.
Mhm.
I I am a hardcore geek for anime training arcs and the making of super good movies.
Yeah.
I remember watching the making of The Matrix, blew me away. It
Mm.
enhanced my enjoyment of the film. I just love knowing how things are made, right?
Yeah.
Particularly movies that I really enjoy that had a real impact on me. And Jurassic Park just had an incredible impact on me as a kid. I was
Mm.
10 years old when that I was crazy.
And that
That movie
knowing how
still holds
things
up.
are made was not forced on you by your father, unlike in this movie.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting. Spoiler, kind of. So apparently, if I recall correctly, between Spielberg, David Koepp or David Koepp, Koepp, I think he wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park,
Okay.
and Michael Crichton, the author of the book Jurassic Park. I think they kind of came together and had a meeting of the minds. And apparently, the same thing took place with The Godfather, where Francis Ford Coppola and the author of The Godfather, Mario Puzo,
Hmm.
Italian author Mario Puzo, they kind of worked together to kind of make it film ready, kind of, sort of.
Got
And
it.
so I read, because I liked the movie so much, I went back and read the 399-page paperback of Jurassic Park. It
Oh
was like
yeah.
this big. This was a big accomplishment for me at that age.
At 10 years old, yeah, man.
Listen, listen,
Hmm.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm a college graduate. I think the only two books I ever read between middle school and college graduation in terms of like literature, a book or a novel or
Sure,
whatever,
in its
I read
completion.
exactly two books in its completion that I didn't cliff notes or spark note. Yes, 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 yes. I read exactly two books, ladies and gentlemen: Jurassic Park and The Lost World, both written by the late great Michael Crichton.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
true.
reason I read those because those are the ones I'm interested in. Um, oh, you know what? In fairness, I read the novelization of A New Hope, Star Wars: A New Hope.
Oh wow.
It's actually a
Okay.
fantastic novelization that George Lucas wrote um, in the 70s as part of like the promotion for the movie or something like that.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
read the
Interesting. Okay.
I read novelization of A New Hope, Star Wars, uh, Jurassic Park, my mom's copy of the book, and The Lost World. I actually got The Lost World as a birthday gift for like my 12th or
Mm,
13th, because my mom knew that, like, oh yeah, he's gonna love this book, right?
yeah.
Let me tell you, if they tried to make that movie completely consistent to the book, number one, it would have been a very, very hard NC-17, not for sexual content, but for violence and gore.
Mm.
So you remember at one point in the movie, Samuel L. Jackson's character, I gotta go and, like, hit the circuit breakers. I'll be right back. And then the only time you see him is when Laura Dern comes out and she's like, "Oh, you saved me," and it was just his arm because the Velociraptors ate him. The disembowelment of this dude is like 3 chapters in that book. I kid you, he spared no detail in how some of these characters met their gruesome, grisly end at the claws and the teeth and the fangs of a velociraptor. It was
Crazy,
no joke.
man.
So all that to
That's
say,
some kicking chicken right there, huh?
I mean, whether it's Tom Clancy novels, whether it's Michael Crichton novels, we gotta do a review of Congo, that movie, someday. Oh my gosh.
I don't think I've ever
Yo,
seen that movie.
so bad that it's amazing. It's got Tim Curry. It's got my man, Delroy Lindo. Stop eating my sesame cake. He's saying to Tim Curry's character, "Stop eating my sesame cake." Oh, oh boy. Just everybody, after you watch the movie, go.
Hornet. We'll get back to your comments in a minute. Once this moment is is past.
No, no, no. Like, watch this full interview, this full review, I should say, and then go look at Delroy Lindo Congo. It's amazing. All this to say, the Venn diagram between the written novel, the movie adaptation, and what makes for a good movie adaptation, and where that line, like where the synthesis of those things
It's
are.
certainly a
It's a very
challenge.
interesting conversation.
Oh yeah.
This
Hmm.
movie, from what I understand, takes significant departures and creative liberties that are very different than the novel. And so, because I haven't read the novel, I can't tell you what's better and what's not. And if you tried to make
Same.
that perfectly consistent with the novel, if it would even be a good or even watchable movie. But as presented, it's a really solid movie. A
Yeah.
very solid movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to like about it.
I think so too. Hornet said
Okay.
the movie was at most, thoroughly entertaining and actually felt like a fresh take on the Frankenstein story, given the perspectives they showed us. And then followed it up by saying, I feel like the only movie that we could really compare this to is Nosferatu, as far as a retelling of a classic story for the modern audience.
You know what? He kind of beat me to it. I was just thinking about that because like
Hmm.
Nosferatu is technically a off-brand Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the
Sure.
reason it was off brand is because we talked about this during a Nosferatu. Go check that out. Go check out that review.
Yeah.
Um, before we delved into how important body count is, we did cover why Nosferatu was Nosferatu and not Bram Stoker's Dracula. Back in the 1920s,
We
they could
did.
not procure the rights to Bram Stoker's novel, and so they made an off-brand
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
Nosferatu. The new movie is a remake of that. So,
So wait, are you
uh,
interpreting him saying that as this movie is akin to Nosferatu in relationship to the original Dracula, or are you reading it as this movie is like Nosferatu in relationship to the old Nosferatu? Because I read it as the second one. Did you read it as the first?
I was just like, how I was just thinking about the like adaptation of like older novels, older classic novels, and in Nosferatu's case, it's kind of an adaptation. Um, and they had
Okay,
to change significant certain details
got it.
so as
Okay.
not to get sued by the Stoker estate or whoever owned the
Hmm.
publishing rights to it.
Okay.
But so
So you're saying this film
yeah,
is like Stein and Franken, is as if they couldn't use the word Frankenstein
a little bit, yeah.
in its
I
spirit.
I think
Okay.
I think there's an interesting comparison between those movies that both came out this year.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
yeah. Knowing Hornet 7788, like good call. I like that. I kind of like where your head's at. I appreciate your input. All right,
Yeah,
so
I think
overall,
it's
it's
easy to
really
compare the
helpful.
two of them also because obviously yeah, like you're saying they're both within this past year. They're
Similar
both
time
modern films. They're
periods.
both films that
Yeah,
have taken more attention to detail when it comes to cinematography, and you were talking about the color coding. What there's color
yeah,
coding, color scripting, color
Victorian,
grading.
kind of
Yeah,
Victorian, Victorian time period.
Victorian time period. Yeah, there are a couple
Industrial.
scenes that look like they could be interchanged in each film. Honestly,
Yeah,
the worlds
there,
could be
there's,
almost be happening at the same time in a way.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of tonal, not necessarily thematic overlap, but a lot of like tonal overlap between those two films. So yeah, I think it would be an interesting comparison.
Hmm.
But overall, like I said, a solid movie. Uh, and so I guess from this point on, we can end our spoiler-free segment of this. If you have not seen Frankenstein yet, we recommend that you go check it out and come back and visit us, join us for this conversation. But from this point on, let's go ahead and call it now.
Yeah, I think
Time
it's a cool film
timestamp.
to check out for sure.
Yeah,
It
we're gonna
yeah,
go
it
into
seems like
spoiler.
it's not on like Stubs. I don't know if it's on anyone's passes to be honest. We had to spend the extra, $30
Yeah,
to go watch it.
yeah,
I thought it was still worth it. By the end of
I
it,
think
like
so.
I said, your enjoyment of the film may overall be a little bit dictated by we already kind of know the Frankenstein story. So
A
if
little.
you're gonna go in there like kind of wanting a brand new experience, I don't know if that's exactly what you're gonna get. Then again, if you've read the book and like Austin saying it has made a good number of significant changes, maybe you will be pleasantly surprised by
Yeah.
what
So
happens. So
I would push back just slightly. I don't
okay,
think people really understand the story of Frankenstein. They understand the concept of Frankenstein.
hmm,
Most people Frankenstein, they think Frankenstein is the zombie, the monster, the creature itself.
sure,
I have to remind myself, no, Frankenstein is the mad scientist or the doctor, whatever you want to call him. Let's just go with mad scientist. Especially if you're thinking like the Mel Brooks, the Frankenstein or Young Frankenstein.
Funkenstein or oh
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein,
That,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Brooks, Young Frankenstein. Everybody needs to watch that. Also, that's a classic Mel Brooks movie. It's amazing. But people understand the concept of a scientist, of a brilliant mind bringing something inorganically to life. And so or the idea of like, playing God or whatever. So I don't know how many people have actually read the book, in current generation, the last couple of generations. I'm
Hmm.
sure people have, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think people are more familiar with the concept of Frankenstein than the actual Mary Shelley novel.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Knowing
from
the
this point,
knowing the concept, I thought it was still cool to take the journey and see how it played out.
sure.
And
Oh yeah,
it
absolutely.
kept my attention, kept my interest, got me invested in a number of characters. So yeah,
Right.
like Hornet
Okay.
said, spoilers ahead. Ahoy, mateys!
Yes.
There be spoilers from
From
here.
now on, spoiler alert. Right. Okay. So and spoiler review begins right now. All right. Do we want to talk about what we liked or didn't like first?
We'll talk about what we didn't like first for this.
Okay.
Yeah, but Hornet hit us back again. I was interested by the Quentin Tarantino style storytelling, where they started the movie close to its end and went back in time, leading to the current events.
Kind of like the 3-5-4 to 5-3-4 storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
or the three one
So
two
yeah,
uh
they
one
didn't.
three two
They
story.
didn't make it obvious at the beginning, unless you knew the date, the time in which the main story is supposed to happen. I think it just went into like 1857. Didn't it say like maybe the location or something like that? It wasn't till a little bit later than we get the obvious flashback, and it's Frankenstein's story, part one
You know
or
what?
something.
It reminds me of just one of the throwaway jokes on an episode of Family Guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, you're more Buzzkill than Buzz Killington, and this old like monocle Englishman. You know why Arthur Conan Doyle was drunk during all of his transatlantic crossings? That's because he was quartered on the port side. Now let's revisit the origins of the Doyle Cart Opera Company. Because like in the movie, he's like, "Oh, I have this whole story. It started with my parents." I'm like, you could just see, like you could easily see the captain going, "Oh, why did
I
I
know.
ask? Oh,
He's like,
oh."
we're going that far back, okay? Yeah, okay, all right. At least he can speak fast, right?
Oh, here we
So,
go.
my father.
Yes, yes. And then he goes into the whole like Doctor Evil thing. You know, I
Yeah.
was the child of my father, in a web in a webfoot prostitute named Chloe with webbed feet or something absurd, you know. Um,
Oh man. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
The mixing of the timeline I thought was cool. They didn't honestly go too hard into it, but I was actually pleasantly surprised that it started with the
yeah,
end of the story. And actually for a little bit there before he like started going into his story, it made me wonder like, oh, it's like, was he doing experiments before, and then there's like a failure experiment that then is lost in the Atlantic, and then we move forward and he tries again. Obviously turned out not to be that way, but I actually enjoyed the mystery of if that's how it was going to play out. And if it was going to play out
right,
that way, that would have been fascinating too. The fact that it didn't play out
right.
that way, I thought was cool. I did wind up enjoying, going back to the present day the couple times it happened. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Hornet was thinking the same thing. How about you, man?
yeah. Okay, so if we're talking about negatives, right? Things we didn't like. I would say
Yes.
slight negative. It serves the story. It moves the story along in certain ways, but I kind of feel like they Superman the creature. They
Okay.
Superman. So what I mean by Superman is I remember watching either a video about Superman and
Hmm.
how strong is Superman,
Oh sure.
and or I think I even think they had one. It was like the versus battle between
Oh, like
Goku
a
and
death
Superman
battle.
battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was that. I think I watched a separate video about Superman. This was years ago. Like how strong is Superman? And they
Mm-hmm.
both the death battle and that video basically made the same point, which is essentially that Superman is as strong as the story needs him to be. Does he need to like envelop a neutron star? Yeah, he can do that if he needs to. he can do whatever he needs to be able to do.
Yeah.
Superman is kind of like an ideal. It's very different approach than a lot of like Marvel superheroes, right? And
Hmm.
that's the classic debate between Marvel and DC, whatever. But
Yeah. As they say,
uh
DC are gods, and the Marvel characters are, relatable beings that are struggling with being human while they also have superpowers.
you can say your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in a way that you can never say your friendly neighborhood Superman. It just doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I feel like they kind of Supermaned him in the sense that like he can't die and he's as strong as he needs to be. He can lift up an entire ship and shake it and rock it. He can,
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the movie, he just pushes pushes the ship back into the ocean. You know, he got stuck, it was frozen, and he just kind of pushed it, right? Basically saved all their lives, even though he killed like six of them. Okay.
I was personally
Uh,
happy with that. By that point in the movie, I'd been
yeah,
won over enough by the characters that I was like, you know what? Look, they let him go, and he winds up rewarding them, treating him as a human or treating him as a being by freeing
right.
them from their peril.
But apparently he can't drown, right? Like he cannot drown. There was numerous circumstances, whether he was in
No.
the ice, he fell down, couldn't drown, and when he escaped from the castle, he went down the tube,
Yes.
the water slide
Yeah.
basically fell down, and then somehow just like
Yeah.
found himself ashore.
So as Hornet
So
wound up touching, he said it was a little weird that the monsters seemed very invulnerable in the movie. Yeah, I thought about it also and made me wonder like if that was connected to the source material. I'd never, I guess, thought of Frankenstein as invulnerable in that regard,
I
but
wasn't thinking that he was like green. You know what I mean?
he's pretty much immortal in this film.
Yeah,
Outside, like, I mean, arguably the dynamite should have ripped his body to shreds. It didn't even destroy his clothes completely. Maybe it wasn't
yeah.
very good dynamite. You would think that would have worked. Anyways, we'll get to that in a minute. I think it was like it's not that he can't drown. He does drown. He does drown the two times. He does die. Oh man, yeah, he does die those two times.
There's that
But
Netflix movie
somehow the
with
current takes him somewhere where he's able to resuscitate. Like I guess in theory, he comes back to life. If he comes back to life in the water, maybe he would drown again, and then he would just keep doing that until he's somewhere safe.
what was the movie that Netflix movie with Charlize Theron where they're like immortal? You know what I'm talking about?
Netflix movie, Immortal.
Yeah, Charlize Theron and there's like a group of them and they're all immortal. They come back to
Oh,
life.
that's right. That was based off a comic actually. I
I don't
forget
remember
I
the
forget the name. It's like
movie.
it's like the 13 or something. I forgot exactly what it was.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel like that a little bit.
Hmm. The
I was
old
like,
guard, the old guard.
old guard,
Thanks
yeah,
Hornet. Yeah.
yes, the old guard. So
Hmm.
I was like, it just kind of reminded me of that. And because it wasn't established that he was immortal, he just kept like not dying. So I'm like, all right. And so like he just lives forever. All right. So yeah, he
Yeah,
did look
Hornet
weird.
saying in the literature he's mostly super strong, but even then in the movie there should have been limits in whereas he takes damage but has to mend himself and patch himself together.
Yeah. So
Hmm. Yeah, you
he's
know what? Touching upon that, yeah, I guess the movie Del Toro wants us to think that there's something special about the I don't know, the little generators and whatever it was that combined with the lightning like restarts them. It's kind of like it's like an immortality kind of.
it's Weapon X. Weapon X healing
Yeah,
factor.
yeah. He's got the healing. Technically, Logan has
Okay,
a healing
fair
factor
enough.
before Weapon X, but
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
I,
That's
I
what I
I
was-
I get what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I
Whatever
was just
whatever
right.
this crazy mishmash of things that brought him to life with the lymph nodes being activated and stuff. It's like I guess when he was at that desk, he's talking about the lymph nodes and like it being like limitless energy. I guess if it's activated, I guess that's the thing. Like once that's activated, it's just like forever activated, and he just is like has perfect regeneration.
Even if it just gets completely annihilated by a stick of dynamite. All right, fine, fine.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so my other thing is that, like, yeah, he did look a little weird, but he didn't look grotesque. I didn't think he looked particularly grotesque. He looked a little strange, but he looked very human also. And so,
Hmm.
uh,
Which I think is supposed to be a testament to how good Victor is at
a good
his
Frankenstein was
craft. You know,
right. Like, yeah, I mean, at first glance, it would kind of shock you, but like on second or third glance, yeah, he looks like disfigured, but he doesn't look particularly like a monster. He looks more human than monster. At least the the way I viewed it. You
hmm
know,
one could
shout out
almost rationalize it as like strange scars, like he'd just been injured many times over the years.
shout out
Outside of his color being a little off.
yeah, shout out to the makeup artists. They did a fantastic job. They should probably get the
Hmm.
Academy Award for it. They probably will. Um, so
No Hornet saying Del Toro
yeah,
makes his his movie monsters look good for the ladies.
oh, we'll get to
Uh,
that. We will definitely get to that. I have some commentary on
is it
that.
accept Shape of Water or example Shape of Water? I'm thinking you put accept Shape of Water.
Didn't the, like, seahorse guy was it like a seahorse guy in Shape of Water? I didn't see it, but, like,
I mean,
the,
he's like a
water guy
merman. Yeah,
merman,
it's like creature. Yeah, example Shape of Water. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He still got all the muscles and stuff going on. Like yeah.
he was still
Hmm.
making out with old girl underwater, right? Like, they were still doing, um
Look. I'm gonna defend the movie for a half second. Spoilers for Shape of Water.
I'm not against it.
I remember it turns out that she is one of his kind. All right. So all the people that are
Oh,
frustrated about the potential question of let's just say I don't know monkeyality, not monkeyality. I don't know. I don't know what we can say on YouTube here, but the ality. You guys know what I'm talking about. I guess it's not
it's
that
like
because she is
Kanye
his kind
West
as
South
well.
Park episode. The Kanye West, I'm in love with the gifted. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Yo.
yeah. Del
Oh,
Toro. Look, he also Del Toro also picked a guy, a tall, attractive guy in his 20s. You know,
I guess.
like
It was supposed to
the,
be Andrew Garfield originally.
it was going to
Originally,
be
Andrew
Andrew
Garfield.
Garfield. Yeah, which I'm actually happy it wasn't. I'm sure he would have done a cool job, but I don't know if they just use camera effects or if Jacob Elordi or whatever is actually really tall. I thought he did. I thought he did really good with
See,
this. But funny thing
I
is,
think it's good.
before they played this movie, they played the ad for his movie coming up with Margot Robbie next year. What was it? The
Yeah, I
trailer
saw
for it.
something.
Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights. He's gonna be in there with Margot
Yeah.
Robbie. So if y'all girls want to see him without the Frankenstein makeup, go check out that potentially next year.
Here's my take on that. I think it's good that they pick someone that I don't really know from anywhere, because then it's just you're
Yeah,
just immersed in the character.
yeah, yeah,
If Frankenstein builds this human and it turns out to be Andrew Garfield, you run into one of two problems. Either it's like, oh, it's Andrew Garfield. And if you like Andrew Garfield, you're like, oh wow, Andrew Garfield. You know, if you're someone that's attracted to him, okay, cool, Andrew Garfield. But if you're not, he's like, oh man, he scoured through all these cadavers, and the best he could do is Andrew Garfield. You know, like you're gonna run into one of those two problems. Shout out to Andrew Garfield. This is not a knock against Andrew Garfield, but you're just a very well-known face and a well-known figure.
Mhm.
And so I mean, it would be the same problem if it was any other well-known actor. You know, if you built it and it was like, modern day George Clooney, it's like, all right, well, it's going to be the same thing.
brother. Like I
This
said,
is
what was it last week? Next summer
yeah.
when we see the Odyssey, I hope I'm not thinking it's Matt Damon the entire time we're watching that movie. You know.
Right. Well, again, this is not a knock against Andrew Garfield. I'm just saying, like, sometimes for like a monster, he's supposed to be a creature. You don't want to like definitively associate, oh, that's Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Channing Tatum or whoever whoever fill in the
Fair.
blank.
Yeah.
It would be too distracting for the sake of the movie.
See
You
that.
need someone to be. relative unknown, or just unrecognizable with all the makeup. Okay, so
Wow, was he
as
really
far
in Hellboy 2 that long ago? That
oh,
wasn't
I
that
don't
wasn't that like, I don't know, 15 years ago? He would have had to have been a
probably
teen or something. Huh.
yeah. Okay, so
So
my negatives
Hornet
are
also called out. There's a fan service moment that happened between Frankenstein and Victor. I honestly was not thinking about that at the moment, but
yeah,
that's a good catch.
I guess fan service for a certain type of fan. All right.
hmm
Um okay, so back to my negatives. So
Yeah.
they kind of Superman, Weapon X, Wolverine, Deadpool, the creature. Um, and to me, I I think it would have been is kind of like if he was a bit more grotesque, I think that would have served the movie well. And just in my own, just looking at him, I wanted to be more like repulsed by him, like more like Hunchback of Notre Dame, kind of like, ugh,
Hmm.
like, ah,
Hmm.
and he did look kind of a little weird with like the hair, but not like that could have just been solved by like pulling it back or whatever. But at his base, he just looked like the Prometheus guy from the Alien movies, the Prometheus
Prometheus. Yeah.
guy that
hmm
throws the thing in water and whatever. I didn't see
Hmm.
that movie. I saw that part of the movie, and he's like, the proto alien guy.
Yeah.
That's what that guy reminded me of.
See that?
So, um, again, I don't know
I'm
how this
glad.
plays out
Yeah.
in the book,
Yeah.
but in this movie, like Oscar Isaac, who played a fantastic job. But, like, the character, I'm like, "Man, this character has gotten super impatient super quickly." Like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's
doting
fair.
father to, like, abusive dad, like, in just a matter of, like, days or whatever. I thought that was a little weird.
Yeah.
Um,
hmm
Other than that, like, uh, all I mean, I don't have a whole lot of negatives. Some of these are nitpicks, right?
hmm hmm
Uh, the the OPing of the creature, uh yeah, that's, like, probably my biggest negative.
hmm
I don't have a whole lot of negatives.
Okay.
This is a pretty solid film.
Yeah.
I There's a lot that I could talk about that I liked, but there's very little, let me think. Now, I have some, like, social commentary, but that's not really positive or negative, that's just social commentary. We'll
hmm
get to that in a little but,
yeah.
that's not a negative, that's like I don't think anybody acted poorly or anything, there's no lacking performances in that regard. The set design, like all the production design is up to like the Del Toro standard for sure. Yeah, the pacing was pretty good. It wasn't too slow, it wasn't too fast. I didn't feel like anything was being significantly rushed
hmm
or overly padded out for runtime. I am glad that he made one movie and not like a trilogy of movies. That might have been a bit much,
That would
but
have been. Yeah.
yeah,
Unless the
yeah.
material was just really, really good, which actually, yeah, when I get to my negatives, I'll cover something I think maybe could have lent itself to more time, but yeah.
Uh, yeah. Otherwise, it's a pretty solid film. It tells a pretty okay. So at the end, we're not quite clear if Frankenstein, if Victor, if he dies. It's not entirely clear if he just went to sleep or if he actually died because he wasn't mortally wounded. He had some flesh wounds, probably some broken bones, whatever. But he wasn't in fear of like he wasn't losing crazy amounts of blood or anything like that.
Hmm.
He was just laying there on the bed and he was apologizing for creating him and for not doing right by the monster. And that was They had some peace. They had some like a reprieve. It's like the creature kind of forgave him or whatever. I was thinking he was gonna like strangle him or suffocate him or do something to end his life.
Hmm.
Like maybe gently snap his neck or something. But he didn't do any of that. He just kind of walked off.
Hmm.
So I was like, that was a little anticlimactic, I guess. Yeah.
But do you need to know if he's alive anymore? Like
Well, the only
what
reason it
would you
matters
want out of it?
because at one point he's like, if he comes back, I want you to just like leave me with him, give me back to him.
Hmm.
I deserve what coming to me basically.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It just like I don't know what to do with that. Like he didn't he the creature didn't leave with him in his arms. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He didn't leave. He just left on his own.
Yeah,
And
I think what Horner is
he kind
saying also. I think the movie does imply that he dies. I mean, maybe for he did have some wounds. There were some pretty relatively distinct wounds that he had. I mean, I guess he was well enough to tell a story for like an hour and a half, but
yeah,
um, we can't really read into it the movie in that way. I think yeah, it's like the man is supposed to be on his deathbed trying to like I don't know clear his conscience or wrestle with things that he's been wrestling with for a while, and he can't come to that completion until he's able to
I
actually
guess
talk with
he's not actually that old. He's not
no,
elderly. Old.
no, but you get the
Like if he
feeling
was
that
terminal like that, I guess I could see it. He just seemed like he just needed to like rest up and he would have been okay. I don't
yeah,
know.
I understand that, but I think it goes back a little bit to he had been injured, I guess, relatively bad, even going back to the wedding. And so it's almost like a supernatural thing that he's like constantly pursuing the monster for however long we know. I think it's one of those things where he's really only kept alive by like a drive, and
Okay.
so once he gets to the I don't know what do they call denouement, the resolution of that drive, then like he kind of is able to let himself go.
Yeah, so that would be my other negative.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of Dragon Ball Z slash pre time skip Naruto's uh the passage of time. You don't actually know how much time is passing.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a day, week? Was it a month? It's like he's hobbling, chasing him. Right? It's like I just
Mm-hmm.
continue chasing. How? There's no way you could keep up with him. How would you know where he was going? You know, and don't you have to go back to town to go get the dogs, the the what do you call them? The husky dogs, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever that is they do in Alaska. I don't remember what it's called. The snow sledding dog.
Yeah.
You would have to go back and like make arrangements and do all this stuff, and then go back out and chase him, and to the North Pole. How the heck they get all the way up to the North Pole? See, what I was thinking was like he had to seclude himself and go build a lab somewhere out in the North Pole to seclude. That's what I was thinking originally. Oh, there's a reason why they're up in the North Pole. And then these sailors just happened to find where he was already at. Something blah blah
Yeah.
derpity
Yeah.
derpy. That
Yeah.
wasn't it. No, he was just chasing this dude all the way to the like from Europe to the North Pole. Was like was like the ocean froze like was like the
Yeah.
ocean, the Nordic Ocean like frozen over. How was he eating? How was he feeding himself? How was he sustaining? Like there's too many details
It
that were
is
just like
it is unclear. I don't think Del Toro wants us to think about any of that stuff. I think at that point,
then
like
don't
I'm saying,
use the
the
North Pole.
movie's
It's like
transformed
Siberia or
into
something.
an exploration of their minds and their relationship. The actual tangential, like how thing point A point B winds up happening is like
All I'm
less
saying is
less
like
important.
it didn't have to be the North Pole. It could have just been somewhere like in Siberia or something like that. The setting would have been exactly the same because Siberia is like a tundra. It's like a frozen tundra. So like, how do you get all the way up to the North Pole? I
I
don't
don't
I
I
don't
don't
know,
even
bro.
know, man. Yeah, I
How
don't
many
even
countries
know.
would you have to cross to get there? How many different languages would you have to be able to speak? Like, there's just now
Yeah.
my rational logical brain is like kicking in. I'm like, wait a minute, how did what these dogs
Look, look,
survive?
look,
Like,
look. This is why Frankenstein is so much more eloquent by the time he gets to tell his story, because they've
apparently
so
so.
much time has passed by that,
It
like,
sounded
yeah,
like
you know,
Shakespeare. He
brother
went
knows
from
like 5 languages at this point.
yeah, yeah, all right. See, this is kind of a classic case of like arbitrary, like you wrote yourself into a hole that you didn't have to write yourself into. Now I have to like suspend all kinds of disbelief and just ignore that to continue on with the movie. I don't like it when they do that. It was like, no, like you didn't have to write it this way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now this is nowhere on the level of egregiousness as say like a Iron Man 3 with people flying out of the airplane.
Hmm. Hmm.
We have to dedicate an episode just to that scene and
Oh
how
man.
bad that
Oh
scene.
man.
How much of my
One day. You know what though?
how
You must. I think you've hit on one of the things that then caused him to consider making this 2 or 3 movies. Uh, that
yeah, maybe
you know him chasing Frankenstein was gonna be like a whole movie in and of itself. You know.
that could have been an adult movie with some flashbacks or something like that. I don't know. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like it could have been written in such a way where it made sense,
Yeah.
or at least explained sufficiently,
Mhm.
and it
Mhm.
wasn't.
Mhm.
And it's like you didn't have to write it that way. You could have wrote it differently. You could have screenplayed it differently, and this wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
So that would be that's probably my biggest negative.
Yeah.
The Supermaning of him,
Okay.
it's a moderate, but it's not. It's whatever.
Yeah.
The Supermaning slash weapon Xing of this guy. Not just Logan, but Deadpool, right? 'Cause they both have that healing factor or whatever. All right.
Deadpool's is from from the program.
Those are kind of my biggest gripes.
Okay. All
Everything
right.
else is pretty solid. And we can talk about the things that I find solid. But yeah,
Yeah,
like,
we
how
will.
about
We
you?
will.
What did you like
Well,
about it?
quick, real quick before we get to me, Hornet hit us up with a couple things. One, Elordi was not in Hellboy 2. That was just some accidental misinformation. Um, he did bring up that Frankenstein, this film overall, doesn't really have a scare factor to it, which I can understand. I think that
Yeah,
plays a
no jump
little bit
scares.
into. It's funny. I almost said it plays a little bit into the Guillermo del Toro part of it, but that's not fully true because he's got Pan's Labyrinth and I don't know Kronos and what was it Crimson something, which may be more scary. I actually need to go back and watch that Crimson one, but
I remember Pan's Labyrinth. That was a really good movie. I remember way
yeah,
back, like in college or whatever, I saw it.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
creepy, but it was
I actually can't
the guy was
think of that. I don't remember that being like scary though. I remember it being like creepy. Crimson Peak.
creepy.
Thanks. I remember it's creepy and like interesting, but yeah, I don't actually think of Del Toro specifically as like a scary, a director that creates like scary projects. And I could totally see this version of his movie, him not seeing it as something scary either, not wanting to like put that forward. Maybe some people are scared by him, but yeah, I don't see him actually creating a film in which the audience is supposed to be scared of him
Right.
like during the film.
Yeah, I feel
And
like John Carpenter.
that may be a problem with some people. Then again, I mean, I think yeah, part of the whole point of Frankenstein is that he's misconstrued as scary, right? Or yeah, he winds up doing some terrifying things because of how he's treated
Right.
by
Yeah,
humanity.
I feel like John Carpenter or even like Rob Zombie would have like given this film a very different treatment.
Mhm.
They would have focused on more of like the horror aspects or the jump scare aspects of things.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I
similarly,
don't,
Nosferatu wasn't scary for me either. S-
I didn't find it scary at all.
yeah. So
I
I
don't
just
know if
don't
it's
think
really
he was going
scary.
for scary in this movie.
Yeah,
Um.
I never took this as a horror film. You could definitely make a horror film version of Frankenstein very,
Hmm.
very obviously, very easily if you wanted to go in that direction. Um, what would be interesting if they made some kind of like Frankenstein's creature slash Jack the Ripper kind of crossover, right? Where they
Hmm.
accused the creature of doing things, it was actually Jack the Ripper. You know, there's a movie in there somewhere. Not a movie
Fascinating.
I would necessarily want to watch. I'm just saying, like, just conceptually, there's a movie there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Uh,
was saying, so like
I did not specifically think the movie was a little too long, but I could see it being a little too long for a good number of people, maybe even younger audiences. This might be the kind of film that when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9, if I was even watching it, may have kind of like got bored by at a few points of the movie. Yeah. Hornet thinks your idea sounds like a graphic novel. It probably is a graphic novel. They definitely do a lot of crossovers of of
that's
things.
what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So yeah, I'll get to how I think he should have ended later. Um. I would actually need to put a little more thought into that as we cover it. All right. So to cover some of the things that I didn't like about the film. Hmm. I think that okay. My the section of the film that kind of frustrated me the most, as I was hinting at earlier, was the section where Frankenstein is telling his story. One, I was a little disappointed that I think the way they worded it was like Frankenstein's version, right? It's like, didn't they say Victor
Creature's
Frankenstein,
Tale.
the creature's tale,
Yeah, something like
and
that.
and then like Frankenstein's version? I'd have to go back
You
and
something like that.
yeah, it just gave me the idea that there was going to be like conflicting elements of their story, but it really just turned out to be like, oh no, here's the first part of it, and then once Victor's not a part of it, here's the next part that Victor wasn't present for. So it almost like it gave me the false idea of maybe a more interesting kind of like I don't know complex form of storytelling. It's not like it's not a problem, but I think I was setting up in my head like, oh, there's gonna be some things that don't match, and even when Victor first starts telling the story, he's like was it not all of it's like factual, but all of it is true or something. Like he says something like poetic, that's like that sounds contradictory. um, yeah, you thought it could have been two sides of the same story and then the truth. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking that when they started Victor's, and the fact that that didn't happen was almost like a little disappointing. And I think that maybe gets to there's an element of conflict in this movie is that could be more interesting. I feel like the kind of conflict this film has most of the time is just like it's two ships passing in the night, like a misunderstanding, especially Victor's side. You touched on the element of like Victor kind of goes from like being really excited about this project, making it happen, to then frustrated with the creature since he's only saying his name, and like immediately discounting him as stupid and a failure. And like I get
Yeah.
I get that there's the element of he's putting onto this creature all the frustrations that his like father put onto him, or that he experienced in his relationship with his father. So one's kind of like making the argument of like he is a father of sorts, but he's not been raised to know what it is to be a father. um and I understand that that's definitely a part of what's happening, but it still is like a little unsatisfying, like how fast he turned, how quick like he was willing to just like kind of start writing him off. And even when he put him into the like the chains down below, I'm like, okay, well, I get it from the safety perspective, but it's like, but it feels a little heartless, almost out of nowhere. I'm not saying he was not that way, but I mean, especially with him getting the story, or the story of him as a kid, I didn't get that he was a heartless kid. I got that he was a kid that had messed up upbringing, and then his brother showed up on the scene, and he's kind of like frustrated slash jealous, envious of his younger brother having all the right things, but then he
And
even
they never
kind of
did it. as they got older. Like I was expecting that to be like a major component of their relationship or part of their fracture, and it didn't seem to be of any consequence once they were adults.
Yeah, the only thing that came of it was like when when his brother was dying, he was like, "I was always afraid of you," and it's like, I don't know why exactly.
Yeah,
I don't fully buy that. I know that's what needs to happen storyline wise. I didn't really get that. You know, Victor did not seem like he would be. I don't know if it's author Oscar Isaac's like charisma with the character slash the writing with the character. Like he's supposed to be, I don't know, so intelligent, so like so destroyed by his upbringing that he is the monster. Maybe the movie didn't necessarily earn that for me as much as just made it happen when he starts being mean to the monster and stuff. Um, let's see. Hornet
yeah, I kind
saying
of.
he really did start blaming the monster for everything. First was the murder of the uncle of Elizabeth, and then it was for killing Elizabeth, and Victor had no remorse. So yeah, the no remorse part, like yeah, he was yeah, this man was completely in denial over everything. Um, and I think that's part of like what is fueling him as he's like pursuing the monster. Like he's really like running away from accountability and like
Oh yeah,
just continuing to try to put it on the monster on something else and yeah. But yeah, so there's an element of the conflict, that core conflict of like, but they could just understand each other. Like if they were able to communicate, like there's that tension. Like the monster, he's a big old sweetie, you know. And then like Frankenstein, he wants to have love in in his life, you know. He thought it was Elizabeth for a half second, but it's like the monster could love that man. Like, come on, like if they just like at the end of the movie, you know, we get it at the end of the movie. If they just slowed down and were able to like talk to each other, um, you know, which I know is like 100%. It's 100% on Victor to be honest, and like because the monster doesn't know any better. He's like constantly attacked, and you know what? He went to the wedding and he was like, "Hey man, I don't want anything. I just want to be with the woman that I think I love." And Victor's like,
uh,
"Bam."
yeah.
That was also a little frustrating. I'm now not a giant fan of I don't know if it comes down to the choreography or what, but that man took when he took that shot, there was no way. There was no way he didn't know he was about to shoot that woman.
Watch out!
There's no way.
Bam.
Yeah. Do
Okay,
you
so
what? What? Yeah. Question.
I was kind of reviewing the Wikipedia of what actually happens in the book,
Okay.
and now I kinda wish they'd stuck to the book
Oh
because you
dang.
remember he's like, "Hey, I need you to build me a
A wife.
make me a female
A
companion,
companion.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
An Eve to my Adam, right?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the movie is like, "No, I don't want y'all recreating. Ew, that's gross, bro. No, don't do that.
Yeah,
I
that
ain't
was a
doing that."
strange one. He was like, why are you jumping
Apparently,
to the conclusion of like, oh, I built another immortal, they're gonna have immortal damned
y'all gonna start
civilization."
smashing and y'all gonna have some Franken babies, and I'm not with that.
It was like, I
Now
don't
here's
know if
the thing.
that's how it works. You've got like human body parts and stuff, but anyways. That's the thing. That's the thing. Why am I questioning this
Apparently,
stuff? It's a
he built him with
ridiculous.
all the plumbing. Apparently, he built him with all of his plumbing. Okay, fine. All right, fine. I don't even want to get into that, but like,
Don't even think about that.
but in the book, apparently he agrees to do this, and then as he's like making creating the woman, he starts having like second doubts about it, and then he destroys her, and
Um,
then he was doing a friend, the creature in retaliation kills the friend, and then he just he has like mental breakdown, but then he continues chasing him, and so in the book he actually does end up in the Arctic, chasing him through Arctic
makes
ice, and he does
sense.
run into
Okay.
and everything, and basically he's dying from exhaustion and hypothermia, which makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been chasing him, he's worn out, his body's depleted, and he's freezing to death.
Okay. I see. Yeah.
If they'd taken that approach to it, like he was like, he was all frozen and everything, he was about to die, he was kind of on death's doors, like just let me die with my creature.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that I can understand. And he was like
Yeah.
coughing and like even more so than he was in the movie. That I can get. But now I kind of want
Yeah,
to read the book.
he had taken some sort of major wound in that fight in the tent. I think something happened, or yeah, or it's just like you're saying, like life of like pursuing him dogmatically is just like catching up to him, where he's pretty much dead if not for the pursuit.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah. Let me. Okay.
yeah.
So another
So
one
go
of the
ahead.
things, I'll get to what Hornet says, what you said in a minute. Yeah, another one of the things, I'd say the biggest thing that frustrated me in the moment, and this caused me to be like, do I actually like the story of Frankenstein anymore? Was I'm gonna sound so heartless for this, but Victor's, like I said, Frankenstein's story when he gets to the cabin and is just home alone living with that family for who knows how long, as when as the spirit of the woods. I I know it was necessary for him to witness what it is to be a human from somebody of like, you know, good moral standard, value, ethics, whatever you want to say. And I'll cover what you're saying, Hornet, in a little bit. It needed to happen. He needed to learn the language, like, but there's a, I just, it took me out for a moment. It was like, look, this family that's been living in the woods that are like comprised of hunters and trackers and whatever it is. You mean to tell me they have no idea that this gigantic behemoth of a creature is right on the other side of the walls, looking through the cracks and holes of their walls for how many
They never
months?
had maintenance on that machine and the gears.
They never
Never
go.
had
Yeah,
maintenance
the windmill gears. It's just perfectly working all the time.
once, and it was done.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
question that extra big sack of clothes like lying in the corner that's breathing weird. Um,
The the bigger question is they left that old man by himself, knowing that there's a pack of wolves. This man is blind. He's damn near invalid. And they left him to fend for himself with a pack of wolves that inevitably came because, of course, they did.
I
Right?
yeah, I know, right? I do believe in the spirit of the forest, brother. I definitely do believe in that spirit. And look, that whole family believed in the spirit. Like that man built them basically like half of their compound in the nighttime, and they'd wake up in the morning all happy and surprised. And you mean to tell me all that strange stuff winds up happening, and then they go off and they're like, we're gonna chase these wolves. It's gonna be all winter. And it's like, what do you mean? How do you know it's gonna be all winter chasing just a pack of wolves? Okay, I'm not a tracker. Maybe they know this. Anyways, they come back and there's dead wolves all over the floor inside of their place. And then, their grandfather's in the arms of a stranger or whatever. And their first assumption is like, this stranger done killed our grandfather, and start shooting at him. I'm like, and then he obviously doesn't kill the grandfather, doesn't kill them, and they still go and try and kill him. I'm like, all right, all right.
And then they
This
just left him there.
I know.
And
They
then he
just
just opened it and left. They literally just
time passes. Time passes, and they go on about their life. They invite people over. Hey guys, don't worry about
They
that dead thing that's at the front of our
didn't
compound.
send
Like,
script, ocean, nothing. They just left him there. I thought that was weird. Especially after he like ripped the guy's jaw off and like left him for dead. Like they didn't. They just left him there. Like, were they scared of him?
yeah,
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 that was
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
So
Look, so
weird plot contrivances. Sasuke retrieval arc level. How much time is going by? Um,
yeah.
Listen, during the Sasuke retrieval arc, we had numerous battles. Rock Lee got a life-threatening surgery after the tuning exam, and then came back to fight. How many days or hours or minutes? It was like at least 15 episodes of the anime,
I don't know.
numerous chapters of the manga. But like, did this all happen in an afternoon? Like, we don't actually know. There was no day or night. There's nothing. It was all just happening. Nobody knows. Okay, so
No,
there's
I don't know,
there's
man.
Sasuke. arc level like pacing and like how much time is happening. There's the weird plot contrivances during the creature's story. There's the weird parental dynamics and what I call the Supermaning weapon Xing of the creature. That's between the two of us,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Negatives.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other glaring negatives? Because there's a lot of interesting things I'd like to talk about as far as the positives and things like that.
Yeah, I probably could put a little bit more thought into it to find. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be personal at this point. I mean, not that these aren't personal already, but yeah. I don't want to tear the movie apart necessarily anymore. But like I said at the beginning, I think the last thing I'll end with is there. I guess yeah, connected to what Hornet's talking about is like maybe there should have been a conflict of morals or values or something like that. Um, I think there is some discussion of those things that could have happened a little bit better in this film. Um, yeah, there's some like it's like you want it to have happened. You also wonder like in what context, when would it have happened? Like they just aren't communicating well with each other. Like it wasn't till the very end of the movie that they're able to talk to each other. Um, yeah, Mia Goth underused. Sure, that I'll end with that. I'll end with that. Like she's a necessary component. We knew she was always going to be the bell to Frankenstein's beast. No, that was going to go that way. Of course, she's introduced as like, oh, she's this really intelligent woman that is kind of held back by the way that society is, and she's right about people on a number of levels to the degree that she recognizes the inhumanity that's in our humanity, and you can see that something that is fresh and brand new to the world is potentially even more human than the rest of us. Like some of that is a little. It is what it is. It's kind of necessary for the story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, look, I guess the opposite end of them doing of her character is for her to be even more involved, and then I don't know if that means she does have to kind of get involved with Frankenstein for a little bit. Because look, I'll say I'll leave that to one of my positives in a minute. Connected to her, plot necessity. Man, her what uncle? Oh no, not uncle. Her potential father. Her father.
Well, Christopher Waltz is her
Christopher Waltz
uncle.
character. I mean, this guy also is like they rash. I mean, you knew there was going to be a rationalization of like, oh, he's helping Victor not just for the pureness of his heart, just for the interest in the science. Like, there's something else to it. You see it coming a mile away. It's just kind of necessary. And they're like, all right, we just want someone that has a bunch of money to just let him do it. Just get to the monster being made. Just make it happen. He's got money bags behind him, and because we don't want to go through this whole story of Frankenstein stealing people's body parts, from mortuaries and stuff like that. Like we don't go through the rigmarole of like taking a long time to get to the monster. We just bankroll him. Like there's a little frustration of that too, but we know it's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
so I almost kind of respect to some degree, like just kind of writing a way for it to happen faster than not, so we can get to the monster. But yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Let's.
I,
I'll throw it back to you for the things we liked about the film.
okay, I'll start off with like his like, One Night with Venus, A Lifetime of Mercury. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's one way of saying. Uh, yeah, man. I swear I wasn't gonna go down the body count matters in this. Presumably, he was with a woman of the night, so I mean that's kind of a foregone conclusion. It's not. It's kind of its own thing. um, apparently syphilis, if left untreated, like it'll get into your brain. It'll like just wreak havoc on your whole body.
I had no
Um,
idea. That's crazy.
yeah, I didn't know either. But that rendered him incapable and ineligible and disqualified for brain transplant, according to Victor Frankenstein. It's like, no, you're gonna ruin my perfect specimen
This guy should
with
have
your
known the entire time. Like, how
just
did he not think
total
about it?
brain. I'm like, oh my goodness. Now
Dude,
that we realize
That
how
was a moment where Victor
impenetrable,
was cold about it. He was just straightforward about it. He was like, "Nah,
yeah,
nah,
like,
bro." Like,
why don't you just hey buddy, can we talk about this later? Oh yeah, 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 let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Blah, 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 like whatever. Like just now was not the time to get into an argument with him. That was weird. But but given what we now know about how impenetrable and invincible this guy was, bro, his syphilis riddled brain probably would have been just fine. Just saying. Um,
I don't know, or would he be like dying
like
every 5 minutes
like
and
Dead
then like
Deadpool had
Deadpool?
he's like an aggressive form of cancer, and like the Weapon X healing factor is like keeping it at bay at a constant basis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
It seems like that probably would have worked out. I mean, he couldn't have known that ahead of time, but like that would have been a funny little see, I cheated death, you know.
Who knew? Who knew
Anyway,
we were gonna have a another Deadpool Wolverine movie this year? I didn't.
oh, right, Victorian Deadpool, interesting. All right, so let me begin by saying the acting is pretty solid. I don't know if there's like amazing blows me away, but just like very solid acting. Everybody likes Oscar Isaac. Everybody likes Christopher Waltz. Like they're a solid duo. It's a solid cast.
Christoph.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Mia Goth, like not a huge deal to me personally, but yeah, she did a great job. She did a great job.
yeah.
Like I
She
didn't
she
think
was cool with
that blew
it.
me away. Yeah, she was cool. She
You
played a
know,
very kind of understated character. Um,
and her
until she
previous movies like Maxine and what was it? I forgot the name of the other two. Like one or two of them, she has like long monologues that are kind of impressive, but she didn't really have that opportunity in this movie. She
she
didn't.
was
She
kind of
didn't.
dour, but I think that was her character. So like, all right, it's fine.
There's something weird
Um,
about her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, something slightly quirky. Okay. Uh, yeah, the whatever cameras they use, like I think there's a new kind of visual aesthetic that's taking form in a lot of these newer movies where they're opting not to add artificial film grain or anything like that. They're kind of letting it look kind of modern. This was the thing that Peter Jackson was that he ran into. There was like an industry show. There was like an industry conference or whatever where he showed footage of the Hobbit movies before they were released, and he shot them in like super high resolution 4K red cameras or RE cameras, whatever he
Mm-hmm.
used.
Was that when he shot it at
And
like 48 frames?
yeah, 48 frames,
Yeah.
and everybody laughed at it and said it looked like a Spanish soap opera in a high school theater production. And part of that is, if you're going to shoot at such a high frame rate, at such a high resolution, you have to account for that in the way you do makeup, the way you do wardrobe, the way you do lighting, and all these things. And so, like, Peter Jackson was probably one of the first people to kind of learn those things and apply those things in his films. Because when he did it, it was like nobody was doing that kind of thing. You know what I mean? The first movie that I recall seeing that visible, like higher, not frame rate, but like higher resolution that I can recall was like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's like, oh wow, they definitely use high def cameras on this. To me, it was a way that was like noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're not using Panavision film cameras like that, right? And then you have Christopher Nolan who goes back to like IMAX, Panavision film, kind of film grain. He wants that film grain. He wants it to look that way. They weren't going for that with this movie. They made it like it looks like it's 4K. It's shot with an Arri or a Red camera or whatever they used, and it definitely looks that way. And it's gonna look a certain way on Netflix on your screen, on your high definition screen. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it was made for that, even more so than for the big
Mm-hmm.
screen. And so that's a new aesthetic that's kind of taking form. The image is very sharp It's almost like broadcast television in a sense. Um, if you're used to watching movies, that you're gonna have to kind of get adjust to it, and not just remind yourself that it's not a Spanish soap opera. But I like that they're doing that. So I think that's a positive because I think going forward, that's the way movies are going to look, and we're
Mm,
just gonna get used to it as time goes on.
yeah,
That's interesting. I like that. I
yeah.
like that they're taking a chance with that.
Mm.
The production design was amazing. The costumes were amazing, especially Mia Goth's. Her costumes were great. The set design, the special effects. Shout out to ILM once again doing their thing. Uh,
You know what? Let me interject for a half second. I know it's a negative technically, but really the only thing that didn't look good to me in the movie where it was like the demon in his like dream or whatever. But
um,
it looked like late '90s CGI. I don't know if that was intentional because it was a dream and it was supposed to be like the like wooden demon angel turned into a demon in the dream. But yeah, didn't look good. But that was the only thing. Like I agree, all the other stuff,
it
production
just looked
design and
super
stuff look great.
saturated.
Yeah,
To me, it just looked super. It didn't look bad to me necessarily. It was
yeah,
definitely like a stylistic choice. It just like the color. It looked. You could clearly tell it was CG, obviously, but it just looked super saturated. So I'm like, okay, that's a stylistic decision. I didn't feel one way about it or the other. It was like, okay, this is his dream or whatever. Um, so okay, but I wouldn't put it in a positive. But it just to me, it
yeah.
was just like, all right, that's the way they wanted to make it.
Mhm.
What was the other thing? I think if you're paying attention, like when you're walking into his library, the big study, it's very clearly like CG, like how far back it goes, the library and all those. Now, if you're paying attention to it, you'll notice it. Otherwise, like it just kind of blends into the background. And so I thought that was good. That was good use of it. It kind of reminded me of Brothers, where you're going into that town. Like maybe like the first buildings that you see are like actual buildings, set pieces, and then the rest of it is CG. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like one of those things. And so but yeah, overall good special effects. Even though the leaned over body it was working on, he was putting the pins in. I mean, it was very clearly CG, but it looked pretty good. Um, there's a balance with like how you light a scene and how realistic the CG looks. Normally, like the dingier and the grimier it is, and the less light, the more light is absorbed, the more realistic it will look. And the brighter it is, the more CG it will look.
Yeah,
You can see this even in like Final Fantasy CG cutscenes. The black guy looks amazing. Cloud looks he looks very plastic and very kind of like good
yeah,
CG, but like CG.
yeah.
But the brother looks amazing, right? Because and that plays into like black absorbs light, white reflects light,
Hmm.
like all that stuff. Uh,
Hideo
it's very
Kojima has said that he often doesn't have Japanese people in his games because technology is still catching up. He feels like because I think up until maybe Death Stranding 2 that came out early in the summer, he felt like the technology, maybe even including that one, is not good enough to represent the skin tone of Japanese people as well as he would want it to.
right.
I get what he see. I get
No,
what he means. Yeah.
black folks always look the realest. What can I tell you? Like it just is what it is. Um, but yeah, so like the decisions on like the lighting and the overall color palette,
Mhm.
like those all play. These are all like highly technical decisions that were made. I think they were made well in this movie. I thought the pacing was pretty good. It wasn't too slow. I always expect these movies to be kind of slow, but it was actually at a fairly decent pace. The cinematography was beautiful, like these big wide shots.
Mhm.
There were a lot of them,
Yeah.
especially in the interior of the houses. There's one where he's like sitting down by his bed, and it's like you see the whole room, and then eventually it zooms in. Even the opening scene where they're in the frozen tundra, there's like a big block of jagged ice that's sticking out, and the way that the camera goes in. I don't know how much of that was CG, but like that's another thing. Like this, it's kind of like I call it the Ari or the red effect, the ultra wide angle effect. You saw it to amazing effect. Again, John Wick 4, these big, beautiful, wide panorama shots. I love it. Um, you wouldn't see it as much in, well, maybe you did see it. like I can't say for sure because I haven't watched enough really old movies to know how often or inoften it was used. I know, like in Lawrence of Arabia, like the film roll was like the film frames are like this big, right? For that giant, like 70 millimeter wide screen. So I mean, there's some classic movies that have done that, right? But yeah, what was the movie, The Green Giant or something like that? With Dev Patel,
Mm.
he's in it.
Green
You know what I'm
Knight.
talking about? The Green Knight, yeah. They
Yeah.
also made use of like big wide angle shots.
Mhm.
It's kind of like the Netflixification of cinematography, I think, because now we're making movies not just for the widescreen, but for like your OLED screen at home. And I actually think that's really cool.
Mhm.
I think that's making for really lush, uh, saturated, just really cool cinematography. I like big wide angle, so like if you like that, you're gonna like this movie as well. Every movie doesn't need to do that, obviously, but the movies that do it to good effect, I really really like that. Um, yeah, I mean overall, I think it's a pretty solid movie. I like the final scene where it showed the monster's face as the sun was rising or setting. I think it was sun was setting, and it's like this kind of emotional scene where just he's like tears are coming down his face. He's kind of made peace with who he is, what he is, and the sun setting, and then the movie ends. And I thought, oh, that's a good way to end the movie.
Mhm.
It's ambiguous because he's gonna live forever. You don't know what he's gonna do with his life. You know what I mean? He's not gonna die, so like he could just hang out in the Arctic all of his life for forever, or he could go back down into town, or wait until society's more accommodating. Who knows? He could do all kinds of things. It's completely left up in the air.
Mhm.
So that was you know that was interesting. Uh, I'm sure somebody will have some kind of commentary or feel some kind of way about the accents. I never really pay attention to that stuff, so I don't feel one way about it or the other, unless it's like super egregious or it's done for like comedic effect. My name's Jeff, like that whole thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but like otherwise, like everybody sounded good. The acting was solid. I got. I don't think anything is like Oscar worthy per se, but like it's
Elizabeth
just really.
Elizabeth doesn't really sound like she's the daughter of Christoph Waltz's character. That's
Yeah,
all right. Look,
that's
she
Christoph
didn't she
Waltz
didn't
is.
sound like the country hick like she's played in like Maxine and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But it wasn't bad. I'm sure for some people it'll be like, why does she sound like an American? Well, she's the daughter of Christoph Waltz's character. Yeah.
it's not fair if you have to be like the daughter of Christoph. Like Christoph Waltz is like he's on a league of his own in terms of like acting and accents and all that stuff. Like that's putting her up to a standard I don't know anybody can live up to. So shout out to Christopher Waltz. Like he's like Kraft Maxing, whatever the kids are saying these days. Whatever. He's doing some very impressive roles, and
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
he first came onto my radar, of course, as most people probably with Inglorious Bastards,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Just an amazing
absolutely.
role that he did. Just Tarantino
Out the
got the
gate
got the
might be
best
his
out of
best
him.
one. We'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to top his performance in Inglorious, but that's a he's coming out the gate really. That's a high bar to clear. So, in fairness to him, but yeah, shout out to Christopher Waltz. Yeah, what did you like about the movie?
A number of things. I mean, the most important things were, yeah, the characters. I thought Oscar Isaac Victor Frankenstein was well acted, well performed. Um, you felt for him, you liked him, you're curious about him seeing through creating his monster. You knew that the monster wasn't going to be. Well, I mean, he doesn't even consider it as a monster, I guess, initially, right? He just is trying to overcome death. He wants to. He's grappling with the losses of his mother and his father from earlier in the movie. Um, they portrayed their characters well. Uh, Elordi's Frankenstein, super good. Yeah, very well done. I cared about that character. Um, throughout all of his existence. You know, it was cool how he, you know, just showed up at Frankenstein's Victor's bed. You know, when he first awoke, and you know we got taken through a little journey of their relationship there. Yeah, you immediately care for him way more than Victor, especially by the time Victor was starting to abuse him and stuff. Um, and so then, yeah, Victor's relationship with Elizabeth just like moved us further in that direction. Um, think the yeah like the pacing was good. I think most things got paid off in a way that was satisfying. I was entertained. Just you know, I felt like the movie was keeping my attention. I was curious to see what was going to happen at any given turn. I was rooting for the characters. There wasn't outside of that middle section when I thought it was just a little too much that he was hiding in that house, and it was like starting to bump me out of the movie. I didn't feel like I was getting bored with it. But even at that, I had to tell myself, like, look, the premise of the movie is already someone bringing to life a being. Like, how I can't get too frustrated about this, you know, Home Alone moment like of the film. Anyways, let me not talk about that anymore. Small little details here and there were really cool, like the caskets for his family. You know,
Oh yeah, those
there's
are really
art.
cool.
Yeah, there's a certain expectation of art design that you have like going into a Del Toro movie, and I think it has paid off overall. Uh, you know, there's when we actually were in the flashback, you know, all the maids, you know, they had like veil coverings, and his mom was like in like bright red and stuff like that. So you have like interesting visual contrasts, and you know, kind of like
Oh,
painting like moments here and there.
hang on. This isn't a negative or a positive. Maybe a negative in that is a missed opportunity. Um, so when they're kids, he's like, "Oh, there was a revolt at the plantation, and they kept the house, but they lost all kinds of other stuff." If they
Hmm.
had shown that revolt, that would have been crazy.
Hmm.
Missed opportunity. But I just
Maybe.
remember, I was like, "Oh yeah." So I mean, maybe he didn't want to focus the fact that they were slave owners, or I don't know what kind of this was in Europe.
Hmm.
It's not
Hmm.
America. I don't know what kind of indentured servitude they had or
Man,
didn't have
they probably yeah
because
he probably
like
didn't want to get into that.
yeah, because like in Europe and Britain, most of the slavery was going taking place on the Caribbean islands, right? It wasn't taking place in England per se. That's just England. I don't again, there's a lot there. I don't know enough history to know about what was going on, blah 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 blah. But they just said, "Oh yeah, there was a revolt at the plantation, and they lost a whole bunch. They kept the house, but they lost everything else. And then shortly after, the dad died. Did the dad die in the revolt? We don't know. He didn't say.
Hmm.
That would
Mm-hmm.
have been really interesting to see. There's just a little quick little montage of that or something like that, or just something. Anyway, it
Hmm.
it doesn't ultimately detract from the movie, but like that would
Yeah.
have been kind of interesting to see. And
Yeah.
maybe in the director's something, maybe it's there.
Yeah.
Special edition, who knows? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I respected Del Toro's writing overall. It never got too preachy. It never got too you know, artsy fartsy. I didn't feel like he was, you know, feeling himself in the dialogue and writing these characters in a way that they were having just, you know, above the clouds conversations with each other, and just like sitting in those, you know, conversations for like 10, 15 minutes. Like that never really wound up happening, thankfully. I think it respected the audience and didn't try to put forward like a false representation of like, you know, how intelligent, how proper these characters are or something. Um,
Your beauty has bewitched me. I thought love bewitched me. Hold me like you did under the moons of Naboo. That's
man.
a almost word for word quote from Revenge of the Sith, episode 3.
He
Just
knew
quick story. I
he knew he
saw
couldn't
that
beat
a
that writing. He knew he couldn't
saw
beat
that
that writing, so he
I
didn't try.
Yeah, I saw that on opening night at the big historic theater in Santa Barbara, and you could hear discernible groans, like people like, oh, oh, that was awful. That was terrible writing. You would think somebody said that because that's like there was like audible groans in the theater. Like this is
Terrible,
like
man.
it's bad. Like George Lucas does not know how to write dialogue. So all that to say, when he was saying like like
Man.
Guillermo wasn't feeling himself too much, that's the
Mm-mm.
first thing that came to mind. It's like, oh, hold me like you did under the moons of Naboo.
No, no,
It's bad. It's bad writing.
nah.
There's nothing like that in this movie. Not even
Mm-hmm.
close.
Yeah,
Not even like that stratosphere.
in a year after previous Frankenstein movie, he didn't try to do any poor things, weird things in this film. Thankfully,
Oh yeah.
yeah, nothing strange or bizarre. I enjoy that. So another small little detail: Victor getting turned down by Elizabeth. Man, I respected that. She was like, "Nope." I thought about it, and I decided no. I was like, "Dang, girl, dang, that's good. Good for you. Good for you."
And she was
That's how
flirting
it
the line.
needs to be.
She was kind of like she was entertaining it for way longer than she should have been.
It wasn't that much. There was a possibility. Like, look, we knew from the beginning she wasn't interested in the brother, but she didn't do anything like super ridiculous. It was. I
You
mean, look, I can agree. I agree. She's engaged to the other brother to some degree. It's like, yeah, maybe keep it together more. But technically,
know, untoward.
she's not married yet. So there's that possibility until fully married.
And there was never no like, hey bro, what are you doing with my what are you doing with my fiance, bro? Like what's going on? Like that never happened.
They didn't get into that drama, thankfully. Look, I'm sure there are people out there that are like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. Like, I would have liked that. That would have injected the movie with much more spice and interest.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. And somewhere out there, there's a movie like that. But
Yeah.
Del Toro was not wanting to tell that tale. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, Guillermo del Toro presents Indecent Proposal featuring Frankenstein. Like that's not that. This is not that movie.
Mm, yeah.
Thankfully.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully. So I could some degree see people complaining about this movie being too reserved in a number of ways. That's fine. You might have that complaint, but yeah, that's why I felt like the movie was good, was solid. You know, I don't think there was anything that like reached the stratosphere as far as excitement for me. You know, sadly enough, you don't get the like, you know, the classic "it's alive" kind of phrase, you know, or anything like that. That's
Oh
totally
yeah,
okay.
we did get that.
He didn't do that. He thought he was dead. You know, he went to sleep. That's all right. He did a different version of it. I don't even know if "it's alive" is in the novel. So
Oh,
yeah, that might have just been.
okay. That reminds me. The other thing I didn't. Okay, this has to go back to the thing I didn't like. So that one silver piece broke. It was like all kind of bent out of shape, but it made no difference to anything.
Mm,
They went out of their way to show you that it broke, but like so what? It didn't change anything.
yeah,
Like why did you show me that? For what?
it's just to build tension of it, like maybe not working, but yeah,
But it did work. Why even go through all that? That cost time
yeah.
and money to produce that part. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm
Well,
almost glad he climbed up there and they didn't do the whole thing. Oh, I slipped. Oh, I'm actually glad they didn't do that.
yeah.
He was a competent climber.
You know what?
I'm
Like
fine.
yet again, if this were more than one movie or a longer movie, something like that would have happened. Like the first lightning strike wouldn't have brought it to life, wouldn't have worked. He would need to wait for another lightning strike or something like that. Like there was ways to build this tension out that he didn't
Yeah.
do. He didn't do. He did in that small way of like yeah, the needle or whatever being bent. Back to the more important things, Austin, though. Hornet points out that Victor had a thing for drinking milk. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
He
he
certainly
did.
did. He certainly did. And I'm 100% sure that Del Toro would say something about being related to his broken upbringing and
Oh.
the
Oh,
carrot, the carrot.
I don't know what
You,
that means, and I don't wanna know what that means. Alright. Oh.
brother, you.
Oh. 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 Alright. Um, so oh, man, that threw me off. Oh god. Oh god, please. I don't even oh, what is wrong with people? What happened? Oh god. Alright. Um,
Oh man.
alright, so, okay, let's see, let me just catch up on what, knowing Hornet 7788. Believe the spirit forward, true. I don't know what you think about Mia Goth role underused in the movie. His brain became Abby normal. I don't know what that means.
It's a character, I believe. I forgot though.
Okay. I'm not familiar. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. Uh, again, knowing Hornet 7788. Really appreciate you contributing. Um, yeah. He did ask a question. Do you think there should have been a conflict? That there was more of a disagreement of values or morals. So I mean, they touch on it a little bit, kind of at the point where his brother asked him, like, "Did you ever consider what like after you created him? Did you ever consider what was next?" And he's like, "No, I didn't really consider that." That was okay. That's interesting. He was so narrowly focused on creating this creature. The moral and the existential implications of it, he just didn't consider. And then you see at the end, as he's ostensibly on his deathbed, he's like, he apologizes to the creature for having created him that way, and you know, now he has to deal with life. You know what I mean? And he says, "My son," and all that stuff. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, they touched it a little bit. I don't know
Yes.
how much
Yeah.
they touch on it in the book.
Hmm.
They probably touched on it more, but they did ask the question. The brother did, like, that was the most meaningful thing that the brother said to him. You know what I mean? Like, did you consider the ramifications of what this would mean once you brought him to life, and how is he
Hmm.
going to be a part of this world? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, they probably could have dug a little deeper into that. Definitely, if this was like a trilogy, that would have been like a central focus of at least the second movie, if not the third. So, um, and the whole values thing between Abby and Victor. Is it Abby?
No,
The fiance?
Elizabeth, or who are you
Mia
referring to?
Goth.
Yeah,
Mia
Elizabeth.
Goth's character.
Hmm.
Elizabeth. Um, she definitely brings some of that up, and that's kind of what drives the wedge between her and Victor. So yeah, I mean, it's discussed, and it's kind of in the context of her developing feelings for this creature.
Yeah, it's true, but they don't really pursue that deeply I know the questions of like, is it is it right for humanity to, like, try and
God,
create life? Is it correct for humanity to make clones and all that stuff? They don't really go down that path all that much, or they don't even really, like, press into, like, does he have a soul, or you know
right?
any of that stuff. Like, what is does he have the same values and perspective on life that everyone born in a normal way does? Like, yeah, there's a number of avenues that they could have taken to discuss, humanity and our potential, objective, potentially objective, probably objective morality that we have from our creator. And yeah, they didn't really cover, like, well, he's a new creation, so now is he getting his morals and ethics from his creator, which is another human? They could have gone down those avenues and really pressed into all that stuff, but they really don't.
Yeah, one avenue that they briefly touched on during the creature story when he was speaking to the old man was the idea that he had all these memories from all these different people, kind of like in his dreams or whatever. He was
Mm-hmm.
just having these memories.
Yeah.
actually maps onto reality because, like, I think I read a story about a guy who got a heart transplant, and he started developing the abilities of the person whose heart he was given, and there's, like, a nervous system in the heart itself. Really interesting stuff. I mean, I don't know that Del Toro was specifically thinking of those things or was even aware of those things, but, you know, just like having having a person's flesh, and there are memories that are attached to the flesh, literally. There's actually a Japanese drama that I watched that kind of talks about that. A guy gets a heart transplant from somebody,
That's right.
and then he played a piano and all this stuff, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was interesting. And then, the relationship between the widow and the person with the new heart, and they and the whole thing. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah, thankfully, I mean, that is one of the things I did like about his interaction with the old man. Even if I don't like
Yeah,
the concept of it overall, like it still was good. Like that was the moment that it was like make or break him being considering himself as more than just a creation, as a
sure.
being of value. So yeah.
All right, I think it's time for some social commentary,
All right, and then
gentlemen.
they'll wrap it up because we're approaching the 2 hours, surprisingly.
Gentlemen, in this movie, you have the character Elizabeth. Elizabeth is betrothed to Victor's brother, Christopher, whatever his name was. And she doesn't particularly seem all that interested in him per se. And at some point in the movie, you're thinking that the story is going to go down the stereotypical, oh, she fell in love with the brother and now there's a rift in the family, that kind of thing. That actually does not materialize.
Hmm.
What does materialize is she encounters the creature and has like this almost immediate rapport with this creature. And the
Hmm.
creature has an immediate rapport with her.
Hmm.
Fast forward to the demise of Elizabeth. She dies. She takes a bullet to the gut. Thanks to Victor and his goofball, hey, I'll shoot you, like whatever. He ends up shooting her on accident, right? And the creature takes her out of the mansion, out of the estate, and takes her to a cave and just lays her on a perfectly diagonal slab. And she's talking as if this is her beloved, this
Hmm.
soulless, inhuman creature. Gentlemen, the moral of the story is, guys, you need to like the women that like you and have chosen you first. It doesn't matter what you give a woman. It doesn't matter what you provide for her. It doesn't matter the life you allow her to live. You could give her the world. And if she is not digging you like that, if she's not rocking with you like that, sh- she may very well fall in love with a soulless, inhuman zombie Franken creature. It might happen to you, to you, dear viewer. You need to pick the women that are picking you. Dare I say, she probably needs to like you a bit more than you like her at first. That's the only way this is going to work. If you gotta strive and try and do all this work to get her, that ain't the move, bro. They need to be choosing you first. And if they're not, then enjoy your singleness. But my goodness, like do not sit there and try and make all this effort and do all this stuff if she's not just automatically choosing you off rip? Don't rationalize it. Don't explain it away. Don't feel like you have to work for what should be freely given. Don't do it. Don't do it. This movie shows you this guy, this creature did nothing to earn her affection. She just liked him off rip. He wasn't even a human being. He has no soul. And she was still down for the cause. This man provided her nothing. This nothing. Don't get the game twisted, gentlemen. Gentlemen, like who likes you. Don't try to get a girl to like you. Please don't do that. Listen, we've all been there. We've all been there. Part of being a man is learning these lessons. And if I can help some of you learn this lesson, then I'm doing God's work. I'm just telling you. This woman was already jonesing for a man that was assembled from the
But
cadaver
brother, Frankenstein is the purest human in this movie.
murderers
You can't prove he doesn't have a soul. He very well does have a soul.
this is a soulless, inhuman Franken creature. And she was digging this soulless, inhuman Franken creature more than the dudes that were breaking bread and providing resources and infrastructure for her life. You understand? Everything she had was given to her by the men in her life. Her uncle, her fiance. She's getting intellectual stimulation from Victor himself. If you got to work for it, if you got to strive for it, if you got to struggle for it, it ain't for you. It's not for you. You should not have to struggle or strive for what should be freely given. Listen,
There we go. You done said it. You
a
got it.
woman
Yeah.
likes you
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
she sees that you ain't got a sweater, she'll give you a sweater or she'll knit you a sweater because she's digging you. If she's not digging you, it don't matter how many sweaters you buy her. She just ain't digging you. Now, there's a whole lot of women that will very happily take what you give them and not reciprocate anything back. But that's your fault for allowing that to happen ultimately. You got to hold yourself responsible. You got to hold yourself accountable.
Uh-oh.
And it goes back to only dig who's digging you, only pursue who's pursuing you, only like who likes you.
Awesome. Dang. Mm-hmm. I think so Hornet is gotten from this PSA for a moment here that you gotta lock in and become a monster.
Game, bars. You got to be in tune. Okay, to quote Cat Williams, you got to be in tune with your star player. If they're not choosing you, then you got to step your game up. You got to level up, you know? And there's many ways to level up. I'm not just talking about money, although that's a part of it. Yeah, you got to step your game up. You got to become the best version of yourself so that you will be chosen by the kind of women that you want to be chosen by. And don't stop leveling up, right? And leveling up isn't like, oh, so I can give her more. No, 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 no. Women don't reward that kind of behavior. No, 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 no. You need to have a campaign that she can rock with and vote for. So yeah, you kind of do need to become a monster in a manner of speaking. In a manner of speaking. But yeah, absolutely. Lock in. Lock in. You need to be in tune with your star player. Because if you don't like you, why would she like you? Right? You train people how to treat you. This is true generally, but especially between men and women. You are instructing and training this woman how to treat you, either with respect or with indifference. That's all based on you and how you show up in the world and how you feel about yourself and how you treat yourself and what you what you accept from the world. So you got to level up. And then once you level up, you choose the women that are choosing you because life is hard enough. Even when you choose wisely and you choose the women that are choosing you, like relationships are hard, even in a best case scenario. Don't settle for anything less than a best case scenario for you. Like the women who like you, choose who chooses you, and then you won't find yourself getting passed over, emotionally cheated on with an inhuman Franken monster. I rest my case.
Sweet. So, moral of the story: be yourself. Pursue the women that let you be yourself and like you for you being yourself.
In so many words. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
This has been our review of Frankenstein. Thank you for joining us. We are the Super Cinema Bros. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified for all of our latest live stream reviews. Thank you so much for joining us. Big shout out to Knowing Hornet 7788 once
Yeah,
again for the
yeah. Welcome back, brother. Thank you for showing up.
we really
Stuck
your
around for the whole
contributions
thing, man. Amazing.
and our conversations. Please join us again. We'd love to have you.
Mhm.
Any parting words before we end this live stream, Josiah?
I'm good, man. Yeah.
All right.
It's fun to talk
Well,
about. It's great to
yeah.
watch.
We're gonna figure
Hmm.
out what movies are coming out
So
in the
this
next week.
weekend, we'll be checking out the next Predator
Oh,
Badlands.
I'm actually curious to
Mm-hmm.
see that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not generally a big fan of the Alien Predator franchises per se. Not really my thing. But I saw the trailer. I'm like, all right, this trailer looks pretty cool. I think I
Hmm.
can rock with this one.
If you
So I'm
have a
looking
if you
forward to
have a
see
moment, if you have like an hour or two, or maybe an hour and a half or something, check out Killer of Killers, the animated film on Disney Plus.
Killer of Killers.
It's a good roll up to this film. Good sequel, not sequel, but good addition to the Prey movie
On
that the
Disney.
same director did. Disney Plus, Killer of Killers. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's
Interesting.
pretty dope.
Okay.
But yeah, that same director directed that, directing Badlands. So it's technically on Hulu, but since Hulu is rolled into Disney Plus and is
Yeah,
disappearing, it's Disney Plus.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's been our review.
And then after that week,
God
we're
bless.
gonna watch The Running Man.
And
Love me
I do
some
want to see the run.
Edgar Wright, Coleman Domingo. And then the week after that, we'll be checking out Wicked for Good.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So we got
All right.
got a fun trio of films coming up. Show up for us.
And there may be an
Yeah,
anime film in there somewhere too. There may be an anime film somewhere in there too.
maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If we can get it, make it happen.
Yeah, November's a big month for big movies. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean we reviewed the first Wicked movie, so we got to review the second one just to see what's up, see
Mm-hmm.
how it goes.
All
And so
right.
yeah, so stay tuned for those. We look forward to having all of you join us again. Thank you so much, and until then, God bless you, and we'll catch
God
you on the
bless you
next one.
guys. Catch you on the next one.